welcome. In our previous part 1 and part 2 video of the development of the urinary system, we dealt with the development of the kidney and the ureter in detail. If you want to check them out, the link is in the description below. So today in this video, we're gonna see part 3, which is the development of the urinary bladder and the urethra. The urinary bladder and the urethra develops from part of cloaca. If we look at this diagram of embryo, this part is the cloaca. It is the dilated distal part of the hindgut. So the urinary bladder and the urethra develops from part of this structure. At around 7th week of gestation, the urorectal septum starts to divide the cloaca. At exactly 8th week, the urorectal septum divides the cloaca into two parts, the ventral urogenital sinus and the dorsal anorectal sinus. For descriptive purposes, the urogenital sinus is divided into three parts. The first part is a cranial vesical part. This structure forms most of the bladder and it is continuous with the allantois. The second part is a middle pelvic part. This part becomes the prostatic and the membranous part of the urethra in males and the entire urethra in females. The third part is a caudal phallic part that grows toward the genital tubercle or the primordium of the penis or clitoris, where it becomes the sponge urethra in males. The bladder develops mainly from the vesical part of the urogenital sinus, but its strigal region, which is the triangular region of the bladder base, is derived from the caudal ends of the mesonephric ducts. As the bladder enlarges, the distal part of the mesonephric ducts are incorporated into its dorsal wall. So these ducts contribute to the formation of the connective tissue in the trigon of the bladder. The entire epithelium of the bladder, which is also known as the transitional epithelium or urothelium, is derived from endoderm of the vesical part of the urogenital sinus. The other layers of the bladder wall, including the submucosal layer, the muscularis layer, which is also known as the detrusor muscle, and its outermost layer, the adventitia, are all developed from the adjacent splanchnic mesenchyme. Initially, the bladder is continuous with the allantois, which is a vestigial structure. The allantois soon constricts and it becomes a thick fibrous cord, which is called the urachus. The urachus extends from the apex of the bladder to the umbilicus. In the adult, the urachus is represented by the median umbilical ligament. In infants and children, the urinary bladder, even when it is empty, is in the abdomen. It begins to enter the greater pelvis or the false pelvis at approximately 6 years of age. But it doesn't enter the lesser pelvis or the true pelvis until after puberty. Now let's see the development of the urethra. The development of male and female urethra is a bit different with regard to their tissue of origin. The entire female urethra is derived from the endoderm of the pelvic part of urogenital sinus, whereas the epithelium of most of the male urethra, including the prostatic and membranous urethra, is derived from the endoderm of the pelvic part of the urogenital sinus. Most part of the spongy urethra in males is developed from phallic part of urogenital sinus. But the distal part of the urethra in the glans of the penis is derived from a solid cord of ectodermal cells, which grows inward from the tip of the glans and it joins the rest of the spongy urethra. So consequently, the epithelium of the terminal part of the urethra is developed from the surface ectoderm, whereas the rest part of the urethra are endodermal in origin. The connective tissue and the smooth muscle of the urethra in both sexes are derived from splanchnic mesenchyme. Now let's recap what we have learned. Under topic 1, we have seen the bladder. The bladder develops mainly from the vesical part of the urogenital sinus, but its trigger region is derived from the caudal ends of the mesonephric ducts. The male urethra is derived from pelvic, phallic, and ectodermal cells. The entire female urethra is derived from the endoderm of the pelvic part of urogenital sinus. That's it for today, guys. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, give it a like. If you wish to see more videos in the future, hit the subscribe and bell button.